Hello and welcome to SquaredEyesT.V. Today we'll cover the 2017 masterpiece, Logan, from the same brilliant mind that directed the 2013 film, The Wolverine. Considered one of the best superhero films ever made, Logan is a sophisticated, grand, and tragic story that brings an epic ending for Wolverine and the X-Men. Although some may call it bleak and depressing, Logan presents the dark and devastating final journey of one of cinema's most enduring comic book characters. If you like the video, remember to hit like and subscribe. The story begins with an exhausted and worn-out Logan, also known as the Wolverine, who wakes up in a limousine while a Mexican gang picks the car apart. He explains how the vehicle is on a lease and that they're doing all the trouble for nothing. Before he could continue, a guy shoots him with a shotgun at point-blank range. When they thought it was all over, Logan picked himself up and killed a few of their guys before they were sent running. Logan's currently working as a limousine driver in El Paso, Texas. He then gets a new suit and picks up a client like nothing happened. He makes it look like a run-of-the-mill thing. Fun fact, did you notice the license plate number on the limousine says WER 112, which is a subtle reference to Uncanny X-Men and Wolverine Comics issue 112, both of which inspired the creation and shaping of the story. One time, while driving a client to a funeral, a Mexican woman approaches him, clearly recognizing him as Wolverine of the X-Men. She explains how she was in trouble and that he was the only person who could help. He brushes her off and walks away, to which she curses at him in Spanish. The bad words would probably have had more of an impact on the person being cursed at if they were in English. Well, here's another fun fact for you. In case you missed it, the scene was in Greenwood Cemetery, which is the resting place of a few Marvel characters that appeared in Deadpool, the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, Ultimates 2, and even in New Warriors. Well, after a hard day's work, Logan drops by a local hospital to pick up some meds, to which the mysterious Donald Pierce, the chief of security at the biotechnology corporation Alkali Transigen, later approaches him. He makes a snide comment about how he tracked him down after what happened on Route 54, where the Mexican cartel tried to steal from him. You know, it's surprising how people still mistake his victims for Freddy Krueger. He claims how he too underwent upgrades, as he goes on to show off his bionic hand. No, this isn't like the Winter Soldier's enhancement we're discussing. Well, he then explains how they're looking for a woman to whom he believes she would be approaching him, and to inform him once she does. Here's another fun fact. Did you know that the Weapon X facility in X-Men and X-Men 2, X-Men United, was under Alkali Lake and was run by William Stryker? Well, it doesn't come as a shock that Transigen is involved with mutant experimentation and cloning.
Welcome to the world of the living, clone. Don't start. I'm the original.
Well, Logan then drives into the middle of nowhere to an abandoned smelting plant in Mexico, where the mutant tracker Caliban has been caring for the 97-year-old Charles Xavier, founder of the X-Men. Well, it turns out that Charles has been suffering from dementia, which causes sudden destructive telepathic seizures, which previously injured hundreds of people and killed several X-Men, which resulted in the team disbanding. Logan administers suppressants to help him control and minimize his outbreaks. Here's another fun fact. Did you know that in the 2003 film X-Men 2, X-Men United, William Stryker tricks Professor X into using Cerebro to kill every mutant on Earth, which is to say that although it failed, it shows his uncanny powers to kill humans even from a distance using telepathic shockwaves. Once Charles calmed down, he explained how he had located new mutants to which unknown forces were trying to kill them. Logan objects, claiming that no new mutants have been born in the last 25 years. Charles claims these new mutants await for him at the Statue of Liberty. Now, while Logan brushes it off, Charles calls him a disappointment after all that they did for him. Here's another fun fact for you. Did you know that all the other X-Men movies have been reset due to the events of the 2014 film X-Men Days of Future Past, making Logan occur in a revised timeline? Thanks to Charles, we could establish that some of the events in the 2000 film X-Men took place when he said that he found Logan cage fighting and the Statue of Liberty incident where the finale took place. Logan returns to his quarters to rest, but not before it's revealed that he's suffering as his healing ability is failing. Caliban confronts him about it, clearly having observed how he is and their situation. Here's another fun fact for you. Did you notice the Japanese katana decorated on a wall in Logan's bedroom? The katana serves as Wolverine's connection to Japan, where it helped him shape his code of honor and conquer his inner demons in the 2013 film The Wolverine. Well, later that night, he was called in to pick up a client who turned out to be the Mexican woman at the cemetery. She introduces herself as Gabriela Lopez and plans to pay him to take them to North Dakota and cross the border to Canada. When she collapses from a wound, Logan carries her back to her room. She explains that she was a nurse until her boyfriend wanted to kill her. When he isn't convinced, she pays him up front with $20,000 in cash. And Yet the fun facts keep on rolling. 2 comic book issues were shown in the film, which has a symbolic connection to the film. Uncanny X-Men issue 117, Psy-War, tells how Charles was tricked into believing the X-Men are all dead, and issue 132, And Hellfire is their name, where Wolverine first faces off against Donald Pierce. After making some plans and telling Charles that he'll be away for days, Logan returns to the motel but finds Gabriella dead. He finds her phone tucked away and quickly returns to Charles in Caliban. Donald shows up and claims he's disappointed that he didn't call him when he met Gabriella. He demands he surrender the girl when he's suddenly knocked out from behind. Charles went out and explained that she was the mutant he was talking about, Laura. Logan then asked Caliban to dump the body by the ditch before others show up. Fun fact, did you know that Caliban first appeared in the 2016 X-Men Apocalypse? And although there might be slight differences, his uncanny powers to track mutants are still the same. In the comics, Caliban used his powers to form the underground community Morlocks. Caliban drives out into the desert when Donald suddenly wakes up and his men appear. With cars on their way, Logan quickly takes Charles to the back of the limousine, but Donald's men block off the entrance. Logan asks them where Caliban is, but he wouldn't answer. He was quickly taken down, surrounded, and outnumbered by Donald's men armed with guns to the teeth. Inside, Laura casually continues eating her cereal like nothing happened when it all happened because of her. Donald sends his men to retrieve her, but she quickly takes them out and even tosses him the decapitated head of one of his men. She makes Michael Myers from Halloween and Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th seem like children in comparison. She brazenly approaches Donald and attacks his men, revealing herself to be a mutant. Like Logan, she has a regenerative healing factor, fast reflexes, enhanced senses, and retractable adamantium claws. When the men try to move in on Charles, Logan kills them all and drives away, with Laura joining them. He tried to drive over the fence, but when it didn't work, he went in reverse and crossed over before the train cut them off against their pursuers. With Logan and the others escaping, Donald turned his attention to Caliban, who until recently worked with Transigen tracking down mutants. Initially hesitant, he's forced to help them when Donald tortures him with the sunlight. Now this makes you think that Caliban might be some sort of vampire. Well, at least he's not sparkling in the sunlight like Edward from Twilight. Well, later, Charles and Logan discover the horrific truth by watching the video on Gabriella's phone. Under the pretense of a pharmaceutical study, Transigen has created children with powers using DNA from known mutants and then raised them to be assassins. Suddenly, management has ordered the kids to be taken out, which Gabriella suspects is because they've had a breakthrough in another experiment, something they claim to be better than the mutant kids. Here's another fun fact. Did you know a lot of the detail was put into Laura's backstory in the movie? From her upbringing in the laboratory to the surgical modifications, and even to her causing self-harm. Laura's character story, aka X-23, is loosely referenced from the 6-part miniseries Innocence Lost. They later arrive at a hotel in Oklahoma City, to which Logan claimed they'd need new clothes and a new ride to throw off their pursuers. Logan struggles with his healing failing on him as he slowly recovers from his wounds. He later realized that the so-called Eden that Gabriella claims to be a safe haven is a myth, something she read about in a comic book. Meanwhile, he leaves Laura to look after Charles while he gets them a new car and asks her to make him drink his meds. He definitely has sunk to a new low if Logan is forced to rely on a mute girl to watch over an old man who can kill people with his mind. Well, Logan then ditches the limousine and gets them a truck. When he returns to the hotel, he found Transigen men stationed outside. While he was sneaking inside, they were all suddenly under the excruciating telepathic attack, which he quickly realized must be Charles. He sluggishly makes it back to the room where armed men have them surrounded. He slowly takes out the armed soldiers and injects Charles with a suppressant. Imagine yourself eating ice cream, but the brain freeze wouldn't stop. And another fun fact for you. While on the road, Logan and Charles argue about how he's been deliberately skipping out on his meds. It's funny when Charles opens his mouth to show that he swallowed his pills like a child being told to take their vitamins. While thinking it was a nuisance driving beside a truck, one suddenly goes off the rails and almost causes a road accident. A truck trailer is forced to the side of the road, and its horses get out. Charles convinces Logan to help them, but when he takes his time to help them out, he uses his powers to have the horses lined up. I guess his powers also work on animals. That would make him a pretty good animal whisperer. Or in this case, a horse whisperer. Hey, that's the name of a movie. Grateful for their help, the Munsons invite them to dinner at home. Logan reprimands Laura when she starts eating with her hands or taking too much food on her plate. Well, the Munsons even offer to have them stay for the night, but Logan worries that they might get dragged into their troubles. Laura looks and acts like a lost puppy. Later that night, Will Munson is furious after a corporate farm tampered with their water pipes. Logan offers to help them check on it and chases away the enforcers when they walk in on them. Back at the house, a Logan lookalike stabs Charles in the chest with his claws. Laura jumps up at him, but he simply throws her off. When they finally return to the house, Will finds his wife and son dead while he's stabbed in the chest. Logan was horrified seeing himself, that he lets it walk out the door with Laura while he runs to Charles's side. Of course, the most dangerous doppelganger is yourself, like a scene from the 2019 horror film Us. It turns out Transigen succeeded in cloning Logan in his prime, making it their ultimate weapon, the X-24. Fun fact, did you know that both Laura and X-24 were biogenetically engineered from Wolverine's DNA? They likely obtained it from Essex Corporation when they recovered his DNA in a post-credit scene in the 2016 X-Men Apocalypse. Now before X-24 can return to its masters, he stopped when hired men from Canewood Beverage appear, furious after their last encounter, exactly how they made him to be. The X-24 is a killing machine that eliminates everyone in its way. When Donald is about to help the X-24, Caliban sets off grenades to take out as many of the Reavers. When Charles dies in his arms, Logan goes on a furious charge at the X-24, but the stronger and faster version of him outmatches him. When it was about to drive its claws in him, Will Munson drove a truck against it and pinned it down. He then shoots it with a shotgun at point-blank range until it stops moving. He then turns around and aims it at Logan, furious about what happened to his family. When he pulls the trigger, it's out of bullets, and he dies falling to the ground. In the aftermath of their battle, Logan escapes with Laura, while Dr. Rice injects X-24 with a serum that will help with its healing. Logan then stops by a forest to bury his friend and mentor, which he still refuses to accept. He returns to the truck, intending on leaving Laura behind, but when it doesn't start, he trashes it before passing out on the road. Here's another fun fact for you. Did you know that Dr. Xander Rice appeared in the 2005 miniseries, carrying on his father's work at the facility to create X-23 successfully? Wolverine's artificially cloned daughter Laura. He conducted several brutal experiments on her, even making a trigger scent that would turn Laura into a mindless killing machine for him. While he later wakes up in a clinic, where Laura drags him to be treated. He refuses to stay and drags his battered body to the car, worried that the people after him would come looking. When their old truck broke down, Laura had to steal a car from someone to get help. Logan was shocked to find out that Laura wasn't mute, but now that she had started talking, he couldn't get her to stop. She insists that he take her to North Dakota, but when he refuses, she mentions the other children's names at the facility.
Gideon, Rebecca, Delilah,
Who's that?
Victor,
Who is that?
Jonah, Gideon.
Who is that?
Annoyed, Logan agrees only because he wants to prove that Eden doesn't exist. While on the road, Logan keeps passing out. Clearly, he still hasn't recovered from his injuries. Laura urges him to rest, to which she then takes over the driving. Logan later wakes up with Laura gone. Looking around, he finds her at the top of the cliff with the other Transigen kids. When Logan passes out again, he later wakes up tied to a stretcher being pulled to the top. They try to tend to his injuries, but Logan wouldn't let them near him. He advises them against using the serum, but Richter, their de facto leader, explains that it would help his healing and not cause damage if taken in small doses. Laura later finds an adamantium bullet that Logan keeps with him, which he explains is the only thing that can kill him. He uses it as a reminder of what he is and what he's become, and on numerous occasions thought of killing himself with it. Here's another fun fact. It was instead revealed that what makes Wolverine distinguishable is also what kills him, the adamantium claws. He explains how the adamantium in his blood has been slowly poisoning his body, and with his healing failing him, he's finally succumbing to it and feels the adverse effects of the metal in his body. Did you know that Logan was once shot with an adamantium bullet to the head by William Stryker in X-Men Origins Wolverine, which resulted in his memory loss? Having slept for a few days, Logan talks to Richter, who explains that they'll cross the border tomorrow morning. He gives Logan the rest of the money he owed, but he refuses, explaining that they'll need it more than him where they're going. Laura is furious that he isn't going with them, to which he explains that people he cares about always end up dying. Fun fact, did you know that Richter was created from the DNA of the supervillain Dominic Petros, aka Avalanche, who had the power to create seismic waves with his hands? Richter is a reference to Julio Esteban Richter, who first appeared in X-Factor issue number 17, and has an extensive history with several X-Men affiliate teams, who later graduated from New Mutants to X-Factor. Well, the next day, Logan wakes up alone with a vial of the serum left by Richter for him. He later sees drones headed towards the pass, to which he suspects the Reavers are getting close. He runs out to the forest and injects himself with a full dose of the serum as the Transigen kids are being rounded up. They tried to fight back, but bionic soldiers outnumbered them. Now when Laura is surrounded, Logan comes to her rescue, and together, they kill them all. This is like a bring your kid to work day when Logan is teaching her 100 ways to kill men. When he's staggering, Laura suspects that the serum's effects are wearing off. With her friends captured, Logan tells Laura to go help them while he goes out into the open. Another fun fact, If you look at the Transigen videos by Gabriella, you can see pyromancy and cryokinesis, which could have been derived from Pyro and Iceman from the original X-Men movie. What is confirmed, though, is that the chubby kid was created from the DNA of Christopher Bradley, a former Team X member who goes by the codename Bolt. Victor killed him under Stryker's instructions, who wanted his powers from the Weapon X program. Dr. Xander Rice comes forward, meets with Logan, and introduces himself as the son of the late Dale Rice. He was a scientist who experimented on Wolverine and implanted the adamantium claws at the Weapon X facility. It seems the rotten apple doesn't fall far from the tree. He explains how he used genetically altered crops to rid the world of mutants, but is now working on creating one. Having heard enough, Logan shoots Rice in the head and Donald in the hand while Laura works on freeing the others. Donald then unleashes the X-24 on Logan, but when he's beaten down, Laura runs to help him. The other kids take care of Donald, and they all use their powers on him. Imagine a Matryoshka nesting doll, where you're restrained in a layer of powers. When they struggle to defeat him, Richter uses his powers to drop a Humvee on X-24, but even then, it fails to stop him. While the others run for the border, Laura returns and shoots it with an adamantium bullet. Fun fact, did you know that the mutant cure was mentioned in the 2006 X-Men The Last Stand, where Dr. Kavita Rao developed it to cull the mutant population using the mutant leech's powers? After the battle, Laura runs to Logan's side and pulls him out of a log that he was impaled on. He later dies, but not before giving her some fatherly advice about not becoming what they made her to be, a killer, to which she acknowledges and calls him her father. They later bury him in the forest, to which Laura gives a eulogy she heard from a movie. As everyone was leaving, Laura returned to tilt the cross on his grave, making it an X, an homage to Logan as Weapon X and the last of the X-Men. Another fun fact for you. Did you know that the film is a loose adaptation of the 2014 comic book storyline Death of Wolverine? In both the comic and the movie, Logan struggles with the effects of the adamantium skeleton slowly poisoning his body, resulting in the failing healing factor. In both instances, he willingly sacrifices himself to save a young group of mutants, including his surrogate daughter, Laura. Another fun fact, if you recall from the 2013 film The Wolverine, Yukio predicted that Logan would die on his back, with blood everywhere, and holding his heart in his hand, which in this case is Laura. It's pretty foreboding and accurate. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, remember to hit like and subscribe. Make sure to tap the bell to be notified about our latest videos. And with that, we'll see you next time.